Hello, I'm Erin Reinholtz. Welcome to my studio. I am about to start the biggest painting that I've painted in over a year. Ta-da! I'm gonna clear off this palette from my last painting, and while I do that, I will tell you the story of how I became an artist. As a kid, I liked drawing a lot, and I had the chance to go to an art school after regular school, and that's where I learned how to oil paint. That was back when I was in around 6th grade. I also learned pastels, but I liked oil painting much more than I liked the pastel work over time. And over the years, I knew I wanted to do something with art after I finished high school, so I went to college and I had big dreams of being a computer animator, and I wanted to work on movies for Pixar. And so I reverse engineered all the things that I would have to do to get a job working for Pixar as an animator, and I ended up enrolling in the art program at Northern Illinois University. And I got accepted with scholarships, and long story short, through the program, I realized that there was a lot of time on computers, and it frankly got boring to me, and I really missed the tactical touch of the actual paper, and I found that I liked my actual painting and drawing classes better than I liked my digital art. I also got really interested in psychology and picked up a minor in psychology, and I graduated with a bachelor's of studio arts and the minor in psychology, and I decided, you know what, I don't want to do animation. I want to work with art, but I also want to work with people. So I went to graduate school to get a master's degree in art therapy, and I really loved that program a lot. And I graduated and I got a master's in counseling and art therapy. It was a dual degree. I got a job working at a school with children, and I got to use the process of art to help them achieve some of their therapeutic and developmental goals. So I worked with kids for a while, and then I ended up moving to be with my now husband to Southern California. I used my art therapy skills to work with an adult population. I was using creativity and art with my patients, and I wasn't creating as much for myself. And so I started getting more and more into photography. And after my husband and I got married, I shortly thereafter became pregnant, and I was excited that I was going to be a mom. Unfortunately, that pregnancy ended in miscarriage, and it was a really devastating experience for me. My savior during that really sad time was the comedian Jim Gaffigan. While I was sad and sitting at home after having the miscarriage, and in the process of it, I guess, I discovered his comedy, and I was crying with laughter instead of just sadness, watching every single sketch of his I could find. And I came through, and my husband and I ended up having another pregnancy, and that's my oldest son. He was born the following December. I loved being a mom right from the beginning, and I found lots of opportunities to take photos of my son, and I was sewing things for him. And so I was doing the photography and the sewing in relation to him. And then I decided I wanted to paint some pictures for his room. And I found that book, Guess How Much I Love You, with the rabbits. And I just loved it so much because rabbits are my favorite. I really loved the illustrative style of the artwork in that book in particular. So this was the first time in a while that I had done any kind of drawing or painting, but I ended up making, I think, 3 watercolor drawings of scenes from that book. And I painted the rabbits, and then my husband built frames for them, and I matted them, and we hung them in his room. And I actually still have them hanging in my kids' playroom now. We now have 4 kids, and we have since moved to Michigan. Those paintings were a significant marker looking back, because like I said, that was the first time that I had done any drawing or painting really in a number of years, basically since I had graduated from school. I didn't realize it, but at the time, it felt like I couldn't focus on the painting, or I didn't have enough time, and I was kind of just saving, like, you know, one day I would paint again, one day I would draw again. But in the meantime, I was taking the photos, and I was really enjoying that. And I ended up starting a photography business where I was doing portraits for babies, taking newborn through the first year, and maternity portraits. And that was really good for a long time. I really enjoyed doing that, and I had just enough clients, and I had the time to spend with my kids and to do the photography, which I really loved. And I was working out of a home studio, so it was really nice. And I did that from the time that my second child was an infant all the way until my fourth child was in preschool. And around the time I started having this eye issue, it was a slow build, where I would wake up in the night sometimes and just feel like my eyes were really dry, or not really sure what woke me up, but something was bothering me with my eyes. And it became, over the course of probably a couple of years, it became so intense that it would actually wake me up at night, and I couldn't feel comfortable with my eyes closed, but I also didn't feel comfortable with them open. And I had gone to see my eye doctor and tried different eye drops, and nothing was working. And it got so bad that any tiny bit of light was really hurting. And so I went to an ophthalmologist, and she figured out what was going on, and thankfully I got treatment, and it turned out not to be such a big deal in the long run looking back. But in the moment, I had this thought of, oh my goodness, something is seriously wrong with my eyes. I may never be able to read again. I may never be able to see again. I'm never gonna be able to paint or draw again. And I have so many more paintings and drawings that I wanted to do, and I loved it so much, and I wasted all that time not doing it, and now I'm never gonna do it again. And I realized that I had been thinking and assuming that I would have a someday later to do all these things that I really enjoyed doing, because they just didn't seem as important. There were other things going on, and it was very easy to put making art on the back burner as something that could be saved for another day. When my eyes healed, I realized how important it was to me, and how much it mattered to me to make art, and how much it fulfilled me, and how at the time, like, my kids didn't even know that I was an artist, and a lot of my friends that I made here didn't have a clue that I was an artist. The only people that knew were people that knew me from when I was in high school and college, really. And so I decided that that was not acceptable for me anymore, and I wanted to start making art. I decided that I was going to start however I could. I had so much fear in the moment of thinking I wasn't going to be able to see again, that when my eyes were healed, I appreciated everything so much more. So I began small. I started just sketching, and you know, there were no magical paintings or masterpieces that came out of this time, but I was doing it again. I was giving myself the chance to say yes to taking some time to create again, and that felt really good. Every day I try to be more present and grateful for each experience, the small things of every day. And even when it's a really crappy day, or there's a lot of stress or a lot of upset, I can find something beautiful to just take my eyes to for a little while. I love seeing the way that the light shines in the early morning and in the golden hour of the later part of the day. I love how it backlights the leaves of the trees or casts long shadows from the branches in the wintertime. I appreciate the joy just watching my children play or the animals on our farm. I'm just so grateful that I get to make art and to have all of these things around me to inspire it. And so my studio started becoming taken over by all of this artwork that I was making out of this gratitude and joy that I was feeling from that experience. And the areas in my studio that used to be for photography backdrops for clients were getting taken over by paintings I was hanging on the wall and paintings that I was making. And it got to the point where I finally decided to tell my clients that I was going to shut down my photography business and I was going to turn it over to fully painting. And I decided I was going to tell the world I am an artist and I'm going to share my work with you because I want to share this joy and this gratitude that I am feeling from my experience and hope that it brings a little bit of that to you as well. Thank you so much for watching this video and listening to my story. By sharing my story and my paintings with you, I hope that we can kind of connect a little bit better. I would love to hear from you if this has resonated with you at all or brought up any memories or experiences that you've gone through as well. And I will continue to show the progress of this painting with you in future videos coming up soon. So I hope that you like the video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.